Greetings, this is Doc Ock coming to you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central with another installment of Doc Ock at noon and 9. Yes, we're here on another day to enthrall you and engage you in a thoughtful process about the past, the present, and the future. And today we're going to be featuring none other than the mother of us all. That's right. We got a real mother for you today. And we'll go into that in just a minute after we do the needful. You know what we need from you right now, and that is to go ahead and give us a like if you're watching on Facebook. Give us a thumbs up if you're on the tube. Whichever platform you may be on, please make sure to access our Tubular Black Facts channel on YouTube and subscribe so that you'll always know when we're on the air. Yes, sometimes we're not on the air exactly when we should be on the air from starting at 12 o'clock, but we do make sure to do our 2 live streams every day, at least between 12 and 1 and 9 and 10. So, neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and read our proverb for the day. Oh, that's an encouragement to go ahead and subscribe so that when we do get on the air, you'll be aware. When we do get on the air, you will be aware. All right, I like that. I always like it when I rhyme without thinking about it. It's always real nice. All right, so our proverb for today is, if you try to cleanse others like soap, you will waste away in the process. If you try to cleanse others like soap, you will waste away in the process. Sounds like a warning if you ask me. All right, so that's our proverb today, and that proverb is from Madagascar, the big island off the east coast of southern Africa. Madagascar. You may have seen the movie. They had a little cartoon movie they did, I believe it was called Madagascar. I don't know that I've seen it yet or not. I know my daughters have seen it, but maybe one day I'll go back and check it out. So today, as always, we've mentioned this before, that we don't just deal with Africans within the confines of the continental United States. We deal with African people all over the globe, anywhere, anytime. So this week, we're going to be focusing on, well, really from now to the end of the month, I believe, we're going to be focusing in on 2 individuals, Mammy and Nanny, as they are called sometimes. Mammy, as in Mammy Pleasant or Mary Ellen Pleasant, who became famous in San Francisco, and Nanny, the mother of us all, the queen leader of the Windward Jamaican Maroons. And actually, in all actuality, she was queen of the Maroons in the East and the West, because everybody knows that Nanny was one of the best. So let's go, without further ado, let's take you to the island of Jamaica. Yeah, man, here we go. Still celebrating Juneteenth. Still celebrating Juneteenth. We're going to be celebrating all the way to the end of the month of June, which is fast approaching. But in the meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and deal with a little bit of Jamaican history. For out of many, one Jamaican people has been created. Out of many, one people. So you've got the Taino Indians, you got the Arawaks, you got the Africans that come from Dahomey, you got the white people coming from Europe, from Scotland, for one thing. Okay, and you got you got the Germans. You got some Germans over on the west coast of Jamaica. You got the Chinese. You got the Indians from India. So Jamaica is one of the most diverse countries on the planet Earth. And most Jamaicans the Jamaicans that I've met are all very proud of being Jamaican, period. No matter what their shade of skin color may be. So that's going to be our focus for the upcoming days going into next week. Focused on the island of Jamaica, and in particular, we're going to be looking at someone by the name of Nanny. That's what they call her anyway, and that's also from the African background, because Nana is a title that's given, I believe, to men and to women. I know one of my friends is Nana Kwaku, and he's a man, but in this case, this Nani is a woman. So I believe it's a title that can be used interchangeably. We'll learn more about that as we go along. So let's get into the story of this woman who could be considered a real life, down home, show enough, dyed in the wool Amazon. All right, Nanny, Queen of the Windward Maroons of the island of Jamaica. Now, Nanny came to Jamaica directly from Africa. She was not born and bred in Jamaica. She came to the island from Africa. And so she came with the knowledge of her history, her past, her heritage, etc. She brought all that with her. But as we talk about Nanny, we're going to talk about how Nanny has been, what's the word for it? Described. There's very little information that we've been able to find in books about Nanny. So the only book that we've been able to really find that's definitive is the one we have here, a very little tiny book talking about the title of which is The Mother of Us All. A History of Queen Nanny, leader of the Windward Jamaican Maroons, the mother of us all. So today we're going to just do a little reading from the book so that we can make sure that we're accurate about the historical background. Throughout Afro-America, Maroon communities stood out as heroic challenges to white authority and as the living proof of the existence of a slave consciousness that refused to be limited by the whites' conception or manipulation of it. Mavis Campbell, a more recent authority on Jamaican Maroon society, sees the definition of maroonage as the process of flight to erect black African hegemonies in the mountains of Jamaica or elsewhere in the New World. And by her hegemony, she really is saying communities where the Africans could decide for themselves how they wanted to live, although they had been transplanted in, quote unquote, the New World. And as the creation of a new Jerusalem where they could live in liberty, however precarious, and where they could live within the matrix of their cultural imperatives. The history of maroonage in Jamaica then should not be limited to an analysis of the practical reasons slaves wanted to run away. The very act of being a maroon was an act of ideological defiance that questioned the validity and survivability of the colonial slave system. Now, the problem that we have a lot of times with these researching the history of these personages, these uh, African heroes and sheroes, is that oftentimes they are couched in a lot of negative stereotypical language. For instance, the one I have up on the screen right now, The Rise and Fall of Idi Amin, another major motion picture about Idi Amin, like we needed another major motion picture of Idi Amin. How many major motion pictures of Idi Amin do we really need to see? How many covers on Time magazine do we need to see depicting Idi Amin as the wild man of Africa? And this is actually where we started out. That's why I think we're going to just go ahead and end with these two people, because it all comes around. We're coming full circle here, all the way back to where we started at. And Idi Amin and the story of Idi Amin and the what's the word for it? The propaganda, the anti-Idi Amin propaganda is just a typical example of what has been done over and over and over again ad infinitum. So when we talk about African heroes and sheroes, of course. So the study of Maroonage is an important aspect of Black history because it offered Africans and Afro-Americans a unique opportunity to create their own societies outside the control of plantation America. So it adds a dimension to our plantation-bound vision of Black history and culture. That we didn't all come out of communities that were owned, operated, ruled by white slave masters and or overseers. Witness the Sea Islands in Georgia. Witness the Africa Town in Alabama. Witness the what is it called? The Great Black Swamp. I think it's called the Great Black Swamp over there in southern Virginia and northern, I think it's northern North Carolina. It goes over the border. It's a huge swamp area that many Africans fled to in order to avoid slavery, to return to their roots and be able to operate in peace and solitude and raise their families without fear of the lash, the punishment, and the working in the enslaving in the hot, sweaty sun, okay, and not even being able to enjoy the fruits of one's own labor. So around 1728, Queen Nanny emerged as the primary general leader and obeah woman of the Windward Maroons. Her reign extended until around 1740, shortly after the Maroons signed a peace treaty with the British. This period, particularly from 1728 to 1734, was representative of the Maroons in their greatest glory. In order to understand the context of Queen Nanny's emergence as a central figure in Jamaican history, it is important to have rudimentary knowledge of Maroon history in Jamaica and an understanding of the specific African ethnic groups that influenced the Maroon identity. Christopher Columbus happened upon Jamaica in 1494, although it was not until 1509 that the Spanish actually began creating settlements there. Spanish colonization of the island lasted about 150 years, a period in which the entire population of Arawak Indians was savagely decimated. Their population reduced from approximately 60,000 in 1509 to approximately 60 in 1655. Most historians describe this period of Spanish rule as chaotic, unproductive, and wrecked by mismanagement. One Jamaican historian explains that at the time, the island was badly defended, poverty stricken, underdeveloped, and underpopulated. The government officials were indolent and demoralized. Money was scarce. Trade was falling off. Another scholar notes the Spaniards were disappointed in the country's lack of gold, and Jamaica became a neglected what? Appendage, a neglected appendage of the Columbus family, poor and sparsely populated. Its chief value to Spain was as a supply base. The main occupation of its settlers, cattle ranching. As the Spanish had not exploited Jamaica's agricultural potential, the economy was not plantation based. Thus, the African slaves in Jamaica were not confined to houses and plantations. They were sent out into the interior of the country to herd wild cattle and to hunt wild boar. Therefore, they developed knowledge of the country's interior, knowledge which would prove to be extremely valuable in their military endeavors. And we're going to close out right there for today with that one. So I know that was kind of dry the way I'm reading that, but it's important because I don't have any. I haven't been able to find. I've yet been able to find a novel, and I haven't been able to write my own about Nanny. And there's very little, like I said, very little information out there. Most of it is quote unquote anecdotal or part of the oral history. And so this particular person, Carla Gottlieb, she actually is one of the first people to actually write a full-throated document just on Nanny. And so if you're watching us on our Tubular Black Facts channel, right now you see a close-up picture of a artist depiction of Nanny on the Jamaican $500 bill. So this is currently, if you go to Jamaica and you get a $500 bill, you will see Nanny on the money. And we know we don't see any women on the money here. Barack Obama tried to get Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill. This is on a 20, not even $100 bill, just a $20 bill, and has been unsuccessful. That's been unsuccessful thus far. We'll see if maybe it'll happen before the end of the Biden administration, but I don't know. Looking kind of sketchy. Maybe and maybe not. But putting someone on the money like this is indicative of the importance that Nanny holds, or that someone holds, in the minds of the population. Okay, what kind of importance do they is their role? So, for instance, you might have noticed earlier on in my in this live stream, I showed some pictures of some old Confederate money. And what most of us don't realize is that on the back of every single Confederate bill were pictures of enslaved Africans picking cotton, okay? What's the word for it? Cleaning cotton. But everything you see on the back shows slaves. Yet they tell us that slavery was not the major issue, but they put it on the money. What would Frances Cress Welsing have to say about that? I think she'd have something to say about that. Neither here nor there. We're going to close out right now, but we'll be back tonight, continuing on with the story of Mary Ellen Pleasant, which we have much more information about, and I even have a novel about her. So I'm not going to start the novel tonight. I'll be reading from another book tonight, but hopefully we'll have enough time to go ahead and read some portion of the novel I have here about Mary Ellen Pleasant. Also, that's a new book that I just recently acquired. All right. In the meantime, y'all have a good day. Make sure, if you haven't done it already, give us a like if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the Tubular Black Facts channel. Of course, donations are always accepted. You'll see links on YouTube, Facebook, and our website. Wherever you go and you find us, look for a link to make a donation. And we do need your support in more ways than one. Peace out without a doubt. Of course, with justice, because anything less disgusts us. And we love being discussed. We don't like being disgusted. And on my way out, I'm just going to give a wave to Daryl. See my brother over there. And to Tony. And we'll go to the extra. Extra. Got to go to extra.